Awesome. Welcome to the call, Jesse. Good to see you today.
Likewise. Happy Wednesday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am alive, excited, and full of energy, and let's rock this out.
Bam. All right, guys. Well, today we are going to be talking about secrets of sales scripts. And some of this stuff will be reviewed. Some of this stuff will probably be new to some of you guys, but we're going to dive deep. We're going to talk about our mindset. We're going to talk about how scripts and influence work and how we communicate different types of scripts, how to practice scripts, some personality stuff, and some really cool NLP pro sales tactics. So let's dive in. So first, I think, Steve, when we and I got started, one of the biggest fears that we recognize was, and that most agents have, is they don't know what to say when they're prospecting. They don't know the words to say. They don't know how to close. They don't know the words to use to start the conversation, the questions to ask. And having those scripts solves that fear in partially. The other part of our mindset that we need to think about with having scripts and using sales scripts is really how to say it, how to say certain things so that the scripts are effective, right? It's great that we give you guys scripts that we've used and we've modified them for what works, but knowing how to say something makes a big difference. And what it does for you particularly is it produces confidence. I don't know about you, Steve, but when I use scripts or when I wing it, I can notice the difference in my confidence level. Would you say that's accurate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Having the scripts, to be completely transparent, when I first got into coaching back probably 2012, and I was looking at the different coaching programs out there, I saw some of the scripts. I saw the scripts that a lot of different coaches use, and I thought, this is ridiculous. What do you mean what do you mean a script? Isn't that like frowned upon? Isn't that something that's going to turn people off? And I thought that way for a while. I really did, until I realized the power of the scripts and not only what's there, but how it's written, like the order of the questions and the questions that you ask. They're there for a reason. They've been tested. They aren't just put together randomly just to get you to, sound like a robot. They actually give you a lot of confidence. Once you get to, when you have those in front of you, you're going to get stuck talking to people. Like they're going to say something that throws you off, or they're going to, throw a curveball at you. The great thing about the scripts and the process that we use, that I was taught, is repeat and affirm. So you repeat and give, affirm what they've said. So if they say, well, I'm not going to be moving for another 6 months. Okay, great. So you're not going to be moving for another 6 months. I can appreciate that. And then you just immediately, if you get stuck and you're like, I don't know what to say, just go to the next question on the script. So if you were to move in 6 months, where would you go to next? And then and you're constantly asking questions. You're going to have control of the conversation, and you're always going to be asking a question that gets them to have to respond to you with something besides a yes or a no. So yes, it gives you complete confidence because it gives you an outline. And if you get stuck, it gives you something to say.
And do you think the customers, the people that you're talking to, notice that you're more professional?
100%. Yeah, 100%. They do know. And I've had a lot of prospects say, wow, that's a really good question. Wow, I appreciate you asking that, because the other person that called, they just, it has to do with how you present it as well. Because I have a lot of people say, I just had somebody call me that was just reading through a script really fast, and I couldn't even understand what they were saying. But when you have to present it in a way that you ask the question and listen to what they say.
And that's exactly what true professionals do. Doctors use scripts. Pilots follow a very systematic approach to how they fly a plane. They're following a script. Athletes, actors, performers, comedians, they get up. They have scripts that they're following. And if they follow the script, it usually works really good. Same with
and think about it this way. When you go to a doctor, you go into the doctor's office, typically they're going to ask you 2 or 3 questions right out of the gate. Like, so you came in here today for XYZ, and, tell me more about that. And that's what we mean by a script. They have a set set questions that they ask everybody. And really what that does is just gets the information out there so they can assess your needs. And that's what we're doing in sales as well. We're trying to get the information from the client in their words, so we can figure out their motivation and help them.
Yeah. So if you guys are resistant towards scripts, that's normal. We've all been there,
right,
and been resistant, but using them is going to make you more professional and more confident. And it's just going to help you get better results. So that's why we give them to you. That's why we teach it, is it works. So, I thought this is very interesting, Steve. When we were first taught this, I was like, wow, that blows my mind. Now, there's obviously words that we say in the script, right? You're reading a question, but real true sales people and good using the scripts is not just the words. It's beyond that. The influence that you have, there's studies. They said, hey, how much influence did the words have on you about your decision? They've done these studies. How much was how they sounded, and like the flow of how they said it, and how much of it was their face expression or their body language. This was what has been proven in studies over and over. 7% of your effectiveness in your communication is just the words. That's why we say, hey, here's the scripts, but how do you use them? And that's 93% of it. So this blew my mind when I first heard this.
Yeah, this took me several years to really buy into, Jesse. The longer I'm in sales, the more I believe this. It's so true. I mean, I was just thinking this while you're talking about it. Think about this if you go on a date, okay? Like you're on a date, a blind date or whatever. You go out on a date for the first time, and are you really communicating and listening to what they're, the jargon or the BS that the other person is saying, especially if you're a woman and you're with a guy, it's like they're just going to say a bunch of BS and, be all fumbly and not know what to say. But you can tell a lot by the way, the tonality of somebody, if they're sincere, if they're, aggressive, if they're empathetic. The tone in which somebody delivers something says so much in the course of communicating. And then obviously there's the body language. Body language is 55%. You could put two people in a room and, if they have the right body language, and a lot of it is mirroring and matching the body language of the prospect, that's going to break down barriers and walls in communication. If you're able to get in front of a contact or a prospect and mirror and mimic their tone and their body language, it's going to be close to 100% conversion rate, because they're going to buy into that and understand you better.
Yeah, I just watched a YouTube interview with a highway patrol in California who saved 200 lives of people from jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. And this is exactly what he was saying. He said, my approach to people is not always the words. It's like giving them space, saying, hey, I'm not here to like arrest you and, hurt you, just how he behaved and his tone was what saved the lives. It wasn't, he said, hi, or how's your day going? It was actually how he approached them. So huge factor. And to take this a step further, 60% of the population, they prefer visual communication. So using words like, do you see what I mean by that? Or can you picture your new home? Or, I really want you to realize that our marketing, using these types of words is actually going to be very effective when you're talking to 3 out of 5 people, because that's how they communicate. That's how they prefer. 20% of the population is auditory. So using phrases like, do you hear what I mean? Or I'm listening to what you're saying here, and XYZ. Using these little phrases really helps you have better rapport with people. And then 20% of the population is the feeling people, right? So use words like feelings and sense and exciting and aware. So just this is NLP. So
high level here. Yeah.
Yeah. But
guys, you don't want to, just a word from the wise, I guess. You don't want to overthink this. A lot of this comes with practice. A lot of us as salespeople are naturally really good at this. And, but to be consciously aware of the other person in the course of communicating, and understanding that the way you move around and the tonality and all that stuff is going to come into play, and it might have more of an impact than you realize. If you think people just want to hear the right thing, that's not true. What they want to hear is themselves. They want to hear themselves talking. They want to hear, then they want to feel that you are empathetic towards their needs, that you care about what they're trying to accomplish. And if they feel like they were able to get that message across to you, and that you're able to help them accomplish their goal, that's when it's a win.
100. All right, we'll come back to a little more NLP stuff here in a minute, but Steve, when we were first coached, we were taught to either put our scripts up in front of us, because you have a bunch of different types of scripts on the wall, or we were taught to have like a flip book with different scripts, right?
Yep.
So, and the reason why is because you switch to different types of scripts throughout your day.
Can you see this? I'm not sure if you can.
No, it's not showing up. Oh, if you stand behind it, it might. Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah.
There you go.
That's a flip book.
Scripts in there. Yep, flip book.
And it's because, again, you go from prospecting to lead follow-up to pre-qual, and then all of a sudden you're handling, you're doing your weekly update call to your clients. And that's a different script. So you need to be able to switch between those and have those accessible and available right in front of you. So there's a lot, but every type of script has a purpose, right? So your prospecting scripts, obviously you're trying to generate a lead and find out, is that person going to raise their hand? And then you switch to follow-up. There's different types of follow-up, right? How do you talk to a cold lead versus a warm lead versus a hot lead, and how you message them? All of that matters. So, yeah, I don't know how deep we want to go on all this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're heavily prospecting, or even if you're just calling, follow-up calls with KB Core, or you're talking to buyers and you've got a handful of calls to make, you at least want to have, like a checklist in front of you of questions and a place to write the answers, especially for a buyer. I mean, this sounds obvious, but, spend an hour one day and put all the scripts, put all the different scripts that we have in our website. We provide them for you. Put them all in a binder. I've got all mine in a binder. And as you're going through your day, if you're talking to somebody that is that type of prospect, you have that with you. You can just pull it out, ask the right questions, and your conversion rate's going to go up. So, and if you're a heavy prospector, like I was for many years, I did have a wall. On my wall, I had like the listing or the expired canceled script. And then I would have like 3 to 4 objection handlers with the answer right there. And man, that came in handy so many times. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have one of like 3 objections. And if you know 1 or 2 objection handlers for each one of those, you're gonna be a rock star. And that's when I was in a zone. You're in a zone, you just have those. But if you have it in front of you, it's gonna help you get that much more. Yeah.
And so you don't forget something, right? Like some people don't ask for the signature at the listing appointment. And it's because they didn't follow a script. Like they didn't ask a couple of times, hey, so let's get started. Here, sign the contract. Like they don't ask for the business because they're not following a script. So having these different types of scripts and following them and having them readily available is going to make a world of difference. Okay, part of learning the scripts and getting better at using the scripts is role play and practice, right? So Steve, have you ever been part of a role play group?
Yes, I have many, many times, many of those. And it helps tremendously. That really, it takes you to the next level. It's kind of like, practicing for a sport. If you go out and play golf, once a week, you're probably going to be pretty good. But if you go out and play golf once a week and then have 2 or 3 lessons during the week, you're probably going to be freaking awesome. So it's taken, going from good to great and great to greatness is really what that does. We actually do a role play. Myself and John do a role play group live that anybody can attend and participate in or just watch every Monday at 10 a.m. Central. So you can go in there and listen to John and I role play, and John, beat the crap out of me and everything else. It's great because I'm a lot rustier than he's very polished, and I haven't done as much prospecting as he does in the last couple of years, and I'm rusty at some of these, man. So it's fun to get in there and get feedback from John because he's perfect,
And if you do want to participate in that, go to extremeagentsevents.com. It's going to be up towards the top of the page. There's a Zoom link, extremeagentsevents.com. Another thing you can do is record yourself, and then, as painful as it sounds, listen to yourself. I realized how many times I said and by doing that one thing, and I helped eliminate a lot of those by just recording and listening to myself. It's very painful, but it's very helpful.
Oh yeah. I've tried to do that a few times, but never got very far with it.
Another thing you can do is practice mirroring and matching all of your conversations and all of your interactions with people for like a week, and it'll help you really get good at like communicating, right? And being a better prospector and a better salesperson. Everything they do, their tonality, their movements, all of that. Practice.
Have fun with it too. Have fun with it. I mean, a lot of this is just a lot of getting good at this is website. Yes, Enrique, all of the scripts can be found at our website, and that's Extreme Agents VIP, extremeagentsvip.com. And if you don't have a login as a returning, client or whatever, just go into where it says, what does it say? Where does it say that, Jesse?
You can, right in the middle of the page, it says get started with Extreme Agents. Here, let me see if I can share my screen.
Anybody here, you don't pay anything, you're free. So, if you have trouble getting into it, just let Jesse or I know. Just a text or email.
Yep. There's a box that says VIP login.
Why don't you pull it up real quick and show us if you can?
Yeah, I can. Let me, all right. Can you guys see this? Yes, no?
Yeah, they can see it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Scroll down where it says get started with Extreme Agents. There's a box that says VIP login, VIP access. You click that, it's going to take you to all of the scripts, and you can log in. Like Steve said, if you don't have a login, it's going to ask you to create an account. I already have one, so mine says log in.
Okay, thank you.
If you forgot your password, click forgot password, and you can reset your password as well.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Another game to play, make it fun, is the question game, which is literally go back and forth with someone without stopping. And every time you end saying something, you have to ask a question or frame it in the form of a question. So that's a great, fun way to practice role playing as well. Okay. Personalities. Big part of sales scripts and communicating is knowing the personalities. Steve, you want to talk about this?
Yeah. Again, this is one of those things that don't overthink it. Don't worry about understanding everybody's personality every single time. Hold on one second here. But my rule of thumb on this is you're going to figure out pretty quickly if there are one or two of these really quickly. You're going to know if it's an expressive or if it's a driver probably right away. And you'll know if it's an analytical right away. If you're focused on this and think about it, it doesn't take much to figure out what they are. Sometimes it's hard to figure out, but if you have an extreme expressive or analytical, those are my least favorite to work with. You're going to know because they're going to have a lot of questions, and the expressive is going to want to be in control of the entire situation. And you're going to have to basically work with them. Number one, decide if that's the type of person you want to work with. Okay. It's okay if it's not. If it's not somebody you want to work with, refer to somebody else. All right. But if you want to get very versatile and do more business, you're going to have to end up working with all different types of personalities, as we know. So analyticals are typically slow decision makers. Let me give you an example of how this could help you. So let's say that I have a listing appointment set up tomorrow, And I talked to the listing, or I talked to the prospect, and I asked the question on the pre-qualifying script. So do you plan on interviewing any other agents? And if they say, yes, I do, I have 2 other appointments just before yours. Okay, great. And let's say that I knew they're analytical. I through the questions that I asked them, I found out that they're an accountant, and they started, tossing out some of the numbers to me about the sales numbers, and I could tell they're analytical. So I know I'm going up against other agents on this appointment. I know they're analytical. So how can I increase the odds of myself getting the listing appointment? Do I just go in there with, a couple of comps with all the pictures, Jesse, of the properties that sold, and just go with the general price and just say, you know what, here are the pictures, and here are the other comps that sold. You can see this one had updates, the other one didn't. This one, had moderate updates and a finished basement. I think your price should be somewhere around 400 to 425. Sound good?
You lost the deal.
You lose it. So what is an analytical going to want to see when you go on that appointment, and what should you bring with you?
You're going to need to bring data and facts. They want to know, what's the list price sales price ratio? What's the average days on market? They want to know, what's the median sales price? They're looking at that.
How much are homes in my neighborhood in the last 3 months have they sold for price per square foot?
Yep.
That's the kind of stuff they're going to want. So you want to get more detail oriented. And listen, you don't have to go over all that there with them, but you want to have it available to give to them. So I would suggest giving it to them before you go on the appointment. Say, hey, I'm going to send over a packet of information for you to review. That's a great way to get an analytical to sign when you get there, is give them all the information up front.
Yep.
Give them the most detailed listing sheets that you can, and give them the stats for the last 3 to 6 months. And that's what they're going to make their decision based on.
Yeah, give them your data too. Like, hey, my list price sales price ratio, my average days on market versus the average agent in the market. Here's what we do. Here's our process for selling a home. All of that. Here's the reviews of what everybody else says about our working with us. They're going to look at that.
So Jesse, let's say that same scenario, same thing. Multiple agents are interviewing, and you find out it's a driver that you're going on the appointment. Should I bring stats, statistics, and also a lot of pictures and stuff like that?
Nope. Keep it short, fast, simple, straight, bottom line. Here's your bottom line. This is what we're going to do for you. This is the outcome you can expect. Here's all we do to get started. Sign here. Bam.
That's what they're going to want. So you're going to want to be very to the point. You're not going to want to sugar. You're not going to want to add a bunch of crap and extra information into the presentation.
Yeah.
You're really going to want to just, get to the point is what they want to do.
So this little chart here is just a really fast way to read what kind of personality someone is. So if they're low emotion and they're fast decision makers, they're probably a driver. If they're low emotion and they make slow decisions and they want to see more, they're probably an analytical. If they're like, oh, lovey-dovey and want to just I just want everybody to love our home, they're emotional, they're slow decision maker, that's an amiable. Okay, so this is a fast way. It's not always 100%, but it's a real fast way to kind of, hey, what kind of person am I dealing with here? And so you can adjust your presentation.
Yeah. So like an amiable, you're not going to want to start getting into, you're going to want to slow down. You're not going to want to get into a lot of facts and figures. You're going to want to tug at their emotions a little bit and use their motivation. So I understand that you're moving, Jane, you're moving to Florida, and tell me more about that. Well, I'm going to Florida to get closer to my kids. I got a couple, a grandkid on the way. Oh, that's great. So you've got kids down in Florida. How old are your kids, and when's the grandbaby due? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's great. Well, how's that going to feel come Thanksgiving when you're down there in Florida with your family in your new house and you're able to see your grandchild born? Isn't that going to be great to be there?
Absolutely. We're going to love that.
Well, you couldn't be selling at a better time. I really want to get you down there before Thanksgiving. So why don't we go ahead and get the paperwork signed so we can get you down to Florida by your family so you can witness the birth of your grandchild in person. How's that sound?
It's just going to be beautiful.
That's great. Well, let's go ahead and sign the contract and put me to work. Okay.
Bam.
All right.
All right, man, that we could go a lot deeper if on a book on that topic would be
So much fun. So much fun.
social styles or versatile selling. I think it goes by 2 different names on Amazon, but great book, short book, but we'll
Versatile Selling by Larry Wilson, I believe his name is. Read that book and it'll explain everything we just talked about in detail.
Yeah. And that's going to be one of the best things you can do for your entire career is to be a better communicator by understanding personalities. Okay. Couple other things we could throw out here just to be aware of. This is like NLP entry.
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Neuro-linguistic programming. Thank you for that. And this is stuff like paying attention to how people and how you communicate. Do people talk through their nose? Are they very nasally? Do they talk through their throat like a frog? Do they talk through their chest? Do they speak from where you can feel the room shake, right? Paying attention to that little stuff matters when you're mirroring and matching. You know, do they talk soft? Do they talk loud? Or they have a Southern drawl that's real slow? Or are they like a New Yorker that talks real fast and yeah, let's get this thing on the road, right? Paying attention to all of that is huge for communicating effectively. Watching your pauses and your pace is very critical. Leaning in and kind of be like, I really want to know what makes you so excited about moving to Florida? Little things like that build so much rapport. Tie down questions. I love tie down questions. This can get you to the signature so much faster. Isn't that really what you really want? Aren't you excited about that? Wouldn't you agree that those are all tie down questions? You're tying them down to get them to say yes 100 times by the time you ask for the signature. If you've tied them down, they're going to be like, yeah. They've been saying yes for the last 20 minutes. So we could go really deep on NLP, but just know there's little things like that do make a big difference. So anything else you want to cover, Steve?
That could be a month-long course learning that. I've never taken a lot of NLP, but my coaches have embedded a lot of it. To use one of the terms here, they've embedded a lot of the NLP commands into my subconscious. And, you know, when you're doing role play with John and I, if you do that on Mondays, you're going to get a lot of NLP, the way that he operates and I operate. We do that as a lot of NLP stuff as well.
Yeah. And some of it's really simple. It's just a certain way you say a phrase. Like an embedded command would be, when you list with me tonight, right? You're commanding them, list with me tonight. They don't recognize it, you know, it's subconscious. So powerful stuff. It's exciting. Cool.
Any questions?
There's a lot that we can go into on all of this, and we'll do that on later calls, but we wanted to give you some of the secrets of sales scripts today, and hopefully.
Yeah. And we're out of time, but if you guys have any questions, I'd have to be anywhere. I mean, don't feel like you're going into our time here. Go for it.